Good evening. My name is Kathy Stanley Galvin, Mayor of the Town of Stoneville. Thank you for joining us. At this time, please silence or cut off your cell phone. As Mayor, I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. on Thursday, March the 3rd. At this time, let us stand for the pledge. Following the pledge, Mayor Pro Tem will lead us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we are gathered here as a town council, each with our own purposes and talents. Help us appreciate the diversity of this room and unite us in a common goal. Let's understand the cornerstone of this meeting tonight is understanding. As we pray as one voice, amen.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the March 5th tonight's agenda? And is it March? Yeah, March 5th, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening? I have a motion from Councilwoman Daisy Smith. A second? Second from Councilman Bennett. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting last month on February the 3rd? I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jessica Smith. A second? A second, Councilman Shelton. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Town Council met at 6 p.m. this afternoon. It was for Section 3, consult with our town attorney, and Section 6, which was a personnel issue. At this time, we have no old business, and we do have public comments. Mr. Russell? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do.
Whoever speaks is reminded that you would speak with courtesy and be respectful of others, and the chair reserves the right to remove a speaker that does not.
Thank you. At this time, we can have Tina Dallas stand up. Tina, if you don't mind, just state your address and your topic of concern.
out since 2009, and it hasn't been resolved.
Because you came up here one other time.
Yes, I've been up here on numerous times,
Mm.
sewage and everything. But that's been fixed, the sewage, that's been pretty good on that, but the runoff is not good.
What was the address again?
106
106 Glendale Street.
Windhill?
Glendale.
Glendale.
It's down below the school.
Do you have any photographs showing that drain before, when it was there? Or do any of the neighbors have any photographs? Because that would be a
Neighbors
documentation.
Most of them are deceased that
Okay.
live there. Actually, everybody, I think, Steve and Tammy Evans is on the other end.
Right.
Evans. But, it has been an issue. My dad's gone, Melvin White's gone, Lloyd Elsie also gone, Julian, Junior. It was right there at their house when they lived there, across the road from me.
On the corner. Was it on the corner of their house you're talking about?
Let's see, it would be, is it 103? That's right. I had to count the houses.
That's all right.
It's not that many, but it's still got to count.
Yeah, when I worked for the county, I did the same thing. I had to have a landmark come down the street.
But it confuses people because there's a house, trailer sitting behind,
Mhm.
and everybody delivers pizzas, and they're like, well, where's 102? But it's gone now, so, I don't know where that got from.
Well, if you can find some photographs showing that drain, that would be very helpful in trying to locate it.
Okay.
Which you probably remember where the drain was.
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
you could take her, pretty much, if you remember it in your mind, you could probably almost go where it
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Scott knows where it's at.
Okay.
Right.
Scott, they know, I know it's the only person I know that knows where it's at.
Correct.
Tanya was probably too little, I don't know. Not older.
Right. Mr. Sand, is this the one that, I know,
So, so we brought it to Byron's attention. He went out and met with Tina, and then we also had Mr. Lester to go out as an engineer to evaluate that and discussed it with Byron as well. And according to all the records he had available to him, he had no record of ever being a drain there. So, without an official document, there's no way for us to really know where it is, unless someone can take it directly to where it's located.
could she do that and show, go and maybe show?
Well, my understanding is that they did meet and
Yes,
walked
Byron,
out through there
yes.
and attempted to locate, and they were not able to, and that was during the time that the road had been milled down, so basically we were within, maybe an inch of the dirt being there, and there was no indication that a drain had ever been in that location. Again, I'm not saying there wasn't, but from the evidence that was on the ground, we couldn't determine that.
Right. And nobody dug anything to see if there was anything underneath the pavement that was left after they dug it all up.
Right.
Before they repaved it. Because I didn't want to pave it and then not try to find it or something, Because it went there instead of running across the street. And when it was paved, back in 2009, it started running. And then I had to go out there and build a curb. And it still gets by.
So what are their next steps then, if Byron went out and Mr. Lester went out?
So, our next step would be, consult Mr. Russell to see, legality where the water is actually coming from, if that can be determined. But again, my understanding is if it's coming out of private property and the sump pump would be, then it becomes a private owner issue rather than a town responsibility.
Mr. Russell?
You'd have to see whether this lady's saying there was a facility there at one time. Looking at a picture of the street, doesn't look like to me that there's a a natural way for the water to go off of the street, other than in New York.
Exactly, because Still's Point, you know, goes there, it comes from everybody's runoff, it's runoff. And then you've got to take on all that plus the rain, and then I got a curve, but it comes from this direction, and it comes past my house, and then it goes right over that little curve, and it looks like a little curve next door, that the town put up. And it just runs my own, still right. And it's just washing the porch away, it's washing the yard, it's washed a bunch of it away. Back there where the sinkhole was, but that got fixed when, Miss Gaffney called, unused, she lives next door. So it was a big sinkhole, when it got so bad, that everything was backing up. It was up in my yard, it was flooding her yard. That was, and also that water coming from the road. And I've got pictures, I've got bunches of pictures. I even got a video standing out there in the rain with it flooding back there. But they did come into a little bit of riprap and have, done a little bit. But then I took it past my house in the back. It's just a mess. It's flooded in people's yards, which I'm sure y'all aware of that. And then you pave the road down at the very bottom, and it washes, it gets too much for the creek, it runs over, it stays muddy on that road, y'all just pay, or someone just pay.
Correct.
That's, I don't think that's good. For that road, I mean, it's nice.
We've got your phone number, Mr. Sands. Can we get with her and see? I mean, I know you've said you've done everything you can do, but maybe.
Again, our next step would be, again, with Mr. Russell, look at all the data information that we have, get back with Byron and Mr. Lester, again, to see, the responsibility, who's responsible based on where the water's coming from,
Okay.
and we can go from there. So.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Next is Tanya Wilson, and if you don't mind, if you'll stand up and just state your address and your topic of concern and go from there.
Topic of concern was 106 Glendale Street, and I just want to get something resolved so the water won't be running.
Okay. So you're good.
That, pretty much said it.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for coming. Thank you. Next is new business, and we're going to start with the audit report of the fiscal year ending in June the 30th of 2025. And we'll ask Mr. Brewer to stand up and do his presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to be back in the wonderful town of Stoneville. It's a nice ride up, and it looks like spring outside.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. It's great. First thing I want to do is thank the mayor and council for allowing me to be your auditor again this year. I want to remind you that I work for you guys, so I want to be an asset to the town. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, please feel free to give me a call. Okay, I think I've got 22 small municipalities, specialize in small municipalities under 5,000. So I have a unique understanding of the needs of small municipalities with your lack of expertise, maybe lack of resources and things of that nature. So I don't mind questions and phone calls, okay? So anytime you have a question, let me know. My presentation is two parts in it. The first part is about the numbers. And the second part is new. Well, this is our 5th year doing it, and it's about indicators with the numbers and what they mean and things of that nature. So I trust everyone's got the blue binder in front of you. That's the official audit. Now, I also provided everybody with a guide right here. It's a whole lot easier to follow the guide than flip through that big audit binder. Even though I encourage you to take it home and read through it. You ain't got nothing else to do and you can't go to sleep. Read through it and it'll put you to sleep for sure. but I made that guide there. It's a little bit easier to follow. For the audit binders, before you starting on page 1, you'll see the opinion, and the town of Stoneville received an unqualified or clean opinion, which means that the financials before you, they fairly represent the books and records of the town as of June 30th, 2025, based on our audit procedures. And directly after the opinion, starting on page 4 through 13, is a section called the MD&A, or the Management Discussion Analysis. And this is a section, a narrative that's written in more layman's terms. It talks about where the town is, a little bit about where it's been, and even a little bit about where it's going. And this is a good time to remind you that your audit report is a public document. Any of your constituents can come in and ask for a copy. And because the MD&A is a narrative written in more layman's terms, that's always a good place to have them to start. And right after the MD&A comes the exhibits, which is very technical, governmental accounting, full accrual on the first 2 exhibits, modified accrual, they're back. After the exhibits comes the notes, and after the notes comes the schedules, and that's where the guide comes in. The schedules are the detail behind the exhibit. So if you look at an exhibit, and it might have one number there, it says unrestricted intergovernmental, it's got one number. Turn back there to the schedules, it might have 3 or 4 things that make it up. So when I get a new one in, the first thing I do is I skip all that stuff. I go right back to the schedules, because that's where all the good stuff's at. That's where it tells you what's really going on. So that's what I made the guide from. So starting on page 51, we start with the general fund. The first thing you'll see is that ad valorem tax collections showed an increase of about $239,000. Next, you'll see that the other taxes and unrestricted revenues, which includes your local office sales tax, those revenues were up about $49,000. The restricted revenues were down about $50,000. Investment earnings was up $56,000. That's a really good thing. I think last year in 2024, y'all had $1,000, something like that, of investment earnings, and this year you had about $56,000. So that's a really good revenue stream. You know, several years ago, we never even talked about interest, but here the last 7, 8 years or so, people are making interest. So it's always nice to see a new revenue stream come in. That means you're investing your money and making something from it. So investment earnings up about $56,000. Private grants, they were down about 28. As for the total revenues, they were up about $260,000 for the year. So it's a good year for revenues. As for the expenditures were also up about $73,000. And that's mainly due to salaries and benefits in the administration and the streets department, as well as capital outlay in the public building department. You'll also notice that the police department showed a total decrease in expenditures of $87,000. I want to throw that in there because I never see that. It's pretty rare that you see a police department or a fire department's expenses go down, because it's expensive. It really is. So I want to point that point out. Next, you'll see that there were some transfers from the ARPA fund and the SCIF fund in 2024 that really helped the general fund's bottom line in 24. And that was just a one-time deal. And you didn't have that in 2025. So if you look at the bottom line, for the year, revenues were greater than expenditures by 101 versus 256 the year before. So it really looks like 2024 was a better year. Well, not really if you compare apples to apples. Without those one-time transfers, 2024 and 25 were almost exactly the same. Very consistent. So both years, without transfers, you know, the town put about $100,000 on the bottom line. And this year, it was a combination of better revenue and controlling your expenses for the general fund. Another point of interest is your unassigned fund balance remains healthy at 79% of the current year's expenditures, and that was compared to 80% the year before. So really consistent comparatives. We compared 24 and 25. Next, for the water and sewer fund on page 58, revenues showed a small increase from 24 of about $8,200. So that's barely, that's just about the same. So 24 and 25 were just about identical with revenues in the water and sewer. Total expenditures were down about $225,000, and that's mainly due to water purchases, water system maintenance, equipment maintenance, and salaries in the wastewater. They all showed decreases. I believe in 24, I believe you had a break. Is that right? I believe you had a break, and that really made your water purchases go up in 24. So 25 is probably more of a normal looking year, because 24 you had a lot of maintenance and repairs. So 24 was a rough year as far as water and sewer getting things fixed. So that's the major driver behind those expenses being down to 25, was that big break that you had in 24. The bottom line for both years shows a profit of $51,000 versus a loss of $143 in 2024. So a really good turnaround year for water and sewer, and that's mainly because of the big break in 24. Also have at the very bottom is, this is new, this is a chart that's illustrating the progress of the water and sewer capital projects. You guys have got 3 going on. One of them is small, the inventory, asset inventory, that's a small one. But you know, you've got 2 big ones going on, and they just started in 2025. One of them is 4%, one is 3%. So you just got the tip of the iceberg in 2025. So going forward, 2026 and 27, you guys are going to be spending a lot of money on water and sewer, which is good. You need to, because you got to keep up with the infrastructure. Another point of interest is your collection rate. Bradford North is above state average at 98.61. State average is about 97. You guys is getting close to 99%, which is great. That says a lot about your constituents, right? Because y'all don't have a whole lot to do with collections, right? but they have everything to do with paying. So that's good to see that people pay their tax bills, and it helps you at budget time. You know what your valuation is, and you're trying to figure out how much ad valorem you're going to be collecting. You multiply it times at least 98.6%, right? You know, it really hurts when you get down about 94% or so. You know, that's a lot of revenue that you're missing. So that's the 30,000-foot view of the first part of the numbers. If anybody's got any questions about the numbers, I'd be glad to answer them before we go to the second part. Any questions about the numbers? Okay. The second part is about indicators. For anyone who's new, let me explain what's happening. It used to be that forever and ever, when we got done with the audit, we sent it to LGC, and they ran it through all kinds of figuring and analysis and everything. And if they had a concern, you know, if a town had a concern with fund balance, or, you know, they was about to be broke, then they would send the town a letter asking them, or telling them what the concern was, and asking them what their plan of action was to take care of that. Well, the frustration with LGC is that when a town got bad enough where a visit was warranted, where they came to the town because things were about out of control, they would come, and so many times the councils would say, that's the first I've heard of it. We didn't know. Because, councils are always changing, right? So they came up with this idea, this is the 5th year, that we do a big analysis of everything and run the numbers, and it compares this and that, and it spits out indicators and shows you if there's any indicators of concern. So now the auditor presents it to the council in a council meeting, all right? And I think it's really worked out great because our councils are more educated on they're more aware of indicators and indicators of concern and what is an indicator and how do they stack up with others, right? Because that's always been a problem is, well, are we doing good or not? Because they don't really, it's hard to have a standard to see how well you're doing. Now this has worked out pretty good. So the difference is that before LGC initiated the conversation. Now, we initiate the conversation in a meeting and tell you what it is. If you have any indicators of concern, you've got 60 days from today to write your response to LGC, submit it to them online, signed by a majority of the council. Okay, 60 days from today. So, anybody who's been here before, you remember I used to hand this out and it was this pretty charts, colorful charts, and it was really nice. And well, about the time we got good at it, they changed it. So now they've done away with the pretty charts, and now it's just blah. But anyways, I've got this handed out, and anything in pink is an indicator of concern. I want to draw your attention to the middle part right here, where it says water and sewer fund. All right, and you see over there, they use this word that's called fail. I don't really like that word called fail. It just sounds bad, but that's an indicator of concern, and it's concerning your unrestricted cash as a percentage of expenses, right? So what they're wanting is, one month is 8.33%. They want you to have at least 2 months worth of what we call mad money in our everyday life, right? We know how much we're going to get paid, we know how much our bills are, right? So we set aside this money, we got to pay our bill, and whatever's left, we go do what we want to with, right? People call it bad money. Same thing with the municipality. They want you to have some unrestricted money left over in case of an emergency. They want you to have 2 months of free money, right? And that comes out to 16.66%, no, 16% even, sorry. And if you look at this chart right here, it says 23, 24, 25. Notice you guys was at a 14.29. So you're about that close. But last year it was a 6.74. So you see how y'all are really pulling out of that. And I believe with the new rates, I'm counting on and hoping for that indicator of concern to go away. All right? So that's the only indicator of concern that the town has, is your unrestricted cash as a percentage of your expenditures. So y'all are a little bit under 2 months' worth. You're at 14.29%, okay? And if you, the second page, you see the first page, I got a number 1 written beside it. The second page, I have a number 1. And that sort of explains, take these home and look at them. And you look at the general fund, water and sewer, y'all don't have electric. But if you look at the explanations, it's pretty neat to read them. And it lets you know why it's an indicator of concern. And what they're wanting. And it's basically like this. It's the same thing we do every day in our own personal life, right? We should have an emergency fund. We should be careful with what we spend, and things of that nature. Same type of principles. It's the same type. And those indicators and indicators of concern are not to beat you over the head, because LGC is on your side. They're just wanting you to know and be aware that water and sewer only had a little less than 2 months of unrestricted money. Now, that's as of June 30th, 2025, so that percentage might be 20% by today. I don't know. But that was just a picture of time. You know, I've been informed that your water rates have changed, and 2024 was a tough year because you had that break and you lost so much water. You spent so much more money, so that really hurt y'all's cash. So 25, 26 is going to be building that up. So I expect it to be pulled out and not be an indicator of concern going forward. So that's the 30,000-foot view of the numbers and detail on the indicators of concern. So to review, y'all have 60 days from today to answer that one concern. Okay? You go on LGC's website, and I'll get with Ms. Greer. They've got samples, sample answers, you know, what kind of plan that y'all have. And you take your that sample and tailor it to your wording and what y'all have done to try to build up your unrestricted cash. And then a majority of the council signs it and submits it to LGC. And they'll send you a letter back saying thank you for sending it, we received it. And they'll let you know if it's sufficient or not. And they'll send me an email too. Okay, anybody got any questions? Concerns? Nothing to say?
So those additional dollars we got from tax increases, did that go into the general fund, or did we move it into the fund balance?
Yeah,
And where is our fund balance, and how does that stand?
well, are you talking about general fund or water and sewer?
General fund.
General fund.
Yes.
Yeah, general fund, you know, general fund is by ad valorem taxes, that's taxpayer money. Proprietary fund, which is water and sewer, electric, stormwater, things of that nature, that's done by people buying things. You know, two different types of money. That's why, you know, governmental accounting, you got funds. Anything that's taxpayer ad valorem goes fund balance to the general fund, right? So your question was, where does that profit go? You know, this year you put $100,000 on the bottom line. Last year you put $250, right? That goes in your fund balance. Same thing in our everyday life. Any profit I got left over at the end of the year that I haven't spent goes in my savings, right? You know, corporations, they call that retained earnings. Towns and municipalities call it fund balance, right? So, you know, for a municipality, here's the whole problem with y'all's job. Municipalities are not trying to retire, just like a church. You're not trying to retire. You know, what's worse than a poor town is a rich town? Because you're trying to collect money and put it back out in the community and make it a better place to live, right? So what's the use of having $10 million in the bank if you don't have any parks and rec, your roads are terrible, you don't have anything, right? So what's worse than a poor town is a rich town. So as council, your job is to, how do I spend money in the right places and still have enough to take care of emergencies, right? And that's fund balance. You want to have a reserve in case of emergency. And that's always been about is where do we spend? And it's called stewardship. Same thing we do in our daily lives. So I've been, you know, I told Ms. Greer, this is the best year I've seen in Stoneville. I've only been here 2 years. but best year, I think 24 was hard because y'all had problems in water and sewer with things breaking, right? It was hard. I think things are leveling back out. Ms. Greer has been here now for 7 months, 8 months. And she's got a heavy burden. Heavy burden. If anybody's been in accounting, especially governmental accounting, works really, really hard. But she's making it hers and understanding the books so that she can give y'all information, accurate information, so you can make good decisions. Right? So from here on, I see, I'm hoping for and predicting that you'll be able to take command of your finances. Take command. You gotta know, do I need to go up or down? How much and when? My biggest problem by far with all my municipalities that are small, that have water systems, biggest problem, there's not even a second place. It's not going up on rates fast enough. Wait. And then they gotta go up 10 cents. Right? That's the biggest problem, is people do not want to go up on rates. But y'all know that you can't buy a Whopper today at the same price that you bought a Whopper 5 years ago. Right? Used to eat there for $9. Now it's 18. Same way with buying anything. With water, fixing water, everything that y'all do costs a lot. So if you're still charging the same thing that you charged 5 years ago, you're behind. I can't tell y'all what to do. I'm just telling you what I see everywhere I go. Everybody stays where they was 5 years ago, and they get behind, and they start running out of cash, and then they got it snowballs. So the best thing small municipalities can do is go penny, every year, whether you want to or not, instead of going up 10 cents at one time. But that gets everybody you. That's what I see. But general fund had 2 good, healthy years. So the question is, here's another question. Is 79%, right now y'all are at 79%, right? Is that good or bad? Well, an average, the minimum for a town your size is 34%. That'd be an indicator of concern if you had 34% or lower. An average for a municipality your size is 71%. So y'all are at 79, okay? So the question is that good? Well, it's average, a little better than average, but it depends on what your future plans are. If you're saving up money to do $200,000 with the road paving, maybe 79% is not enough. So what usually happens is it climbs and climbs and climbs because you got a project coming up. 3 years down the road, we're going to start doing this. So it climbs up real pretty and everybody's real proud, and then you spend it all and then it drops down to 50, and then everybody's, what happened? Well, you've done what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to build it up, and save it, and then spend it. And that 1 year that it drops down, everybody's ashamed. But I tell them, don't be ashamed. You've done what you're supposed to do. And then you start building it up again until the next thing breaks, and then you spend it. Same thing we do in our everyday life. As soon as I save money, a car breaks, refrigerator breaks, right? That's usually what happens. But I'm glad that I had the money saved. Same way with the town. Short answer is it goes in fund balance.
Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Brewer, thank you. You made that very clear and very easy to understand, so thank you.
I'm excited. I'm proud of y'all. Y'all
Thank you.
They're excited too. Thank you very much.
Ms. Curtis, I'm the manager and business development and strategy lead for.
Thank you.
Next is the consideration to contract with Barry Dunn, a Parks and Recreation consulting firm. Mr. Sands.
Yes, so the Parks and Rec Advisory Board has been working for several months, just looking at the current situation with the Parks and Rec and trying to toss around ideas of what we could do, what could be done internally versus seeking outside assistance and advice. And so over the last, I guess it was 2 months, we have been evaluating the possibility of contracting with a consulting firm. And at the last meeting, we actually met with a representative of that consulting firm. She presented to the board what they could potentially receive from her services. And so as a result of that, the advisory board did vote unanimously that they wanted to recommend to the council to contract with Barry Dunn for their services moving forward.
her to do this before you speak? Or do you want to speak? You'll go ahead? Okay.
You want me to go? So, Mayor, if I can,
Yes, sir.
I would like to say a couple of things and try to inform the public as much as I can. The council knows a lot about this. They probably know less about it than the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, but I'll try not to take too much of your time. But I wanted to introduce some of these people that are here tonight so you can put a face with a name, and they work very hard. We've met many hours for the last 6 months or so. And, I prepared a statement so I wouldn't miss anything. But I regard each of these ladies and gentlemen and Principal Casey's on our committee with us, and with utmost respect in reaching this mark to move forward with a good solid plan for the future of our town and the parks and recreation of our citizens. These are exciting times we're living here in Stoneville with great expectations of a better life for all of our tax-paying citizens. They, the people of Stoneville, deserve long-awaited potential of quality of life through recreation for all ages. It's with great pride that I've been involved with this group of leaders in our community to make so many great things happen. This is the first and most necessary action we believe that it's necessary to move forward with unlimited potential while continuing to recognize our past and also address the needs of the future. Thank you to the committee and the council, along with Mr. Sands and Delia, for your patience in helping with these last 6 months of back and forth discussions, enabling us to make the right decision. I wrote down, some bullet points that, people have a tendency to say, I hear it a lot, that we've had 2 calls in the last week about using the facilities for baseball teams and all. And say, nobody's down there, nobody's using the facilities. And we're actually booked down there, but right now, we're working with, in coordination with the Stoneville Elementary Public Schools and Principal Casey. We're working now with Sharon Baptist Church Outreach Center and Pastor Moore. He's also on the committee. Administrative office is coordinating and scheduling the approval of these facilities, mainly through Delia. Administrative offices also fielding calls about leagues and teams working with recommendations for signups and coordinating with the M&M Recreation Center, because we, Mr. Bailey and myself went to a meeting and we were kind of late to the game to get any kind of teams going at this time, so we make referrals to the M&M Rec if some of our local children want to get in that program or to play an event or sport. Currently, 3 teams use the field Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for practice and games. Excuse me. Trails are available for use at the Memorial Park off Pretty Drive. The bathrooms have been restored with more work to be completed hopefully soon. Picnic shelter has been restored with more work to be completed hopefully soon. Tennis courts and pickleball courts have been restored with more work to be completed. Stage is available with basketball courts adjoining to be hopefully updated and improved. Plans to host more events at Memorial Parks in our plans. The Pocket Park in downtown to continue and making improvements and making long overdue progress. Progress would be to be made in the master plan for land usage behind the bank, post office, and town hall area to the corner of Eagle Drive. The preliminary drawings have been made to accomplish these objectives, and talks and discussions have been made to coordinate and collaborate with adjoining programs to utilize all available options. This council, this advisory board, takes these this proposal very seriously. And one last thing is, as you can tell from all these items, much of these objectives are now being managed by the administrative office. Our administrative office's utmost integrity and ability. However, these actions of the P&R or Parks and Rec require additional guidance and manpower. In order to work, we need professional, trained, skilled employees in the field of Parks and Rec. So with that being said, I want to introduce the advisory board members that are here and invite them to speak on behalf of the advisory board. And so first person, Bob Bailey. Bob worked with McMichael High School in Stokes County. He's coached in the college ranks and all, but most of you know Bob. We got Charles Rakestraw, who's a local builder here and a longtime resident, grew up, can't remember the name of that street, Charles. Hampton Street, yeah. And Ed Brown, who's with Southern Finishings on that committee as well. And he's been a long-time contributor to anything that the town of Stoneville wishes to do, and we appreciate all he's done over the years. And we got a new person in town. He's been around all these years, but I didn't know it. But married Kelly Bryce, Chris Avis, and he's the one that's fixed up his home here on Main Street, the old Taylor home, and you know, the church and all. But these guys have got a real grasp and understanding of what is needed to grow this town, and not to lose our identity, but they understand what it's going to take to make all of it come together. And it's been a real hard decision for us to come to this conclusion because it's a whole lot of money, but we don't see us being in any better place 6 or 9 months from now if we don't make a move and do these things. So with that being said, can I ask them if they would like to speak?
Sure.
Anyone individually, anybody go first that would like to?
Just a couple of quick comments, a minute or less. First, I appreciate you guys, your service to the town, very much appreciated. First, the financial consultant, what he said about investing in the Parks and Recreation, I promise you, that was not coordinated.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many exciting things with what Chris Avis is doing, new homes that are coming in, the hardware, the credit union, just so many exciting things. The town is growing. 30 years ago, you had textiles was leaving, furniture, tobacco, you name it. But now we're in a different, impactful time in our history. The town is growing. The timing is just perfect. We really need to invest in our parks and recreation. It's the home buyers, that's kind of what they're expecting. Also, the other point I want to make is there's lots of money out there that we can go get. A lot of grants we can go get, but you can't get it if you don't have a plan in place. And we're not qualified to create a plan. So we need, that's why I'm suggesting we hire Barry Dunn. So I just want to make those couple of comments. Highly recommend this. I think it'd be great for the town. Time is perfect.
Thank you, Charles. And I apologize, I missed, the mayor pointed it out to me, I always forget the one you love the most, Jerry Smith is on our advisory board. And we've had many long conversations, and he's very involved in athletics and sports and recreation, and highly qualified in this field. He donates a lot of money to the M&M rec right now and other sports teams, and has over the years. And, you know, hopefully he can be a part of it here locally, and we could grow some programs here. But anyone else?
Sitting there too long. I'm not from Stoneville originally. I don't apologize. But I think I can give another perspective. I wasn't here in '69 when we had the great basketball team. I wasn't here when Teapot Fry was a great baseball player, but I have been here the last 40 years. My daughter's 40 years old, not almost 40, not quite. And I can tell you kind of where we've gone in that period of time, as far as the parks and recreation. We've got a park. Now, it's not Ferris Park, it's not Freedom Park, but it's our park, and we can make it the best that we can make it. And we've done a lot of improvement in the last couple of years. But you can remember back on the 4th of July when there was standing room only in that park. I know you all can remember that. There's no reason why we can't do that again, and we can. We've got the facilities there, we just got to get somebody in charge. If we have a fire, we don't call Mr. Sands. If we need a policeman, we don't call Mr. Sands. If somebody wants to schedule a vacation next summer and they want to find out when baseball season is, who are they going to call? We don't have anybody. It starts at the top. We've got to have somebody in charge of the parks and recreation. Now, I don't know what Ms. Dunn's going to say, but I got a feeling it's going to be along those lines. You got to have somebody in charge. I know you do. Athletics. I spent my whole career talking to high school kids about the value of athletics. I'm not going to waste your time. You've got an opinion on athletics as far as the recreation part is concerned, and I'm not going to change that. I know how important it is. My 3 grandchildren now have to go somewhere else and play. That hurts me because my daughters both played here. All the sports growing up, and we have programs for them. With all these people moving in here now, I don't know what the number is, but I bet it's probably more than half of them have children, I would guess. And they're going to be looking for something to do for those kids, a place to go. We've got facilities with Stoneville Elementary School, Sharon Baptist Gym. We've got a park. We can make soccer, we can make softball, we can make baseball, we can make basketball. We can do those things for our kids that are important. But it takes leadership. I don't know who the leaders were back in 1980 when I moved here. No, back in 1990. I don't know who the leaders were here. I don't know that. But I can't imagine any better than what we got right now. Let's leave this better than we found it. We've not, as far as I know, we've not spent a whole lot of money in the parks and recreation in the last several years. And it shows, because we don't have anybody in charge of it right now. But with the leadership involved, we can make it happen. I know we can. And it'll be a better, we'll find it, we'll leave it a lot better than we found it, put it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and I will say that Bob and he invited me to go to a meeting. There was a bunch of baseball coaches that were all getting together down at JR's restaurant on a Sunday afternoon. And this is kind of when it flipped the switch for me. I was on the fence, about spending all this money, but so we get in there in this meeting, and I told the director from M&M, what's his name? Lee Mitchell. That's his name. So I said, I'm just here to observe. I came along with Bob. Every one of those coaches in there knows baseball all the way from 2 or 3 year olds up to Pony League and Travel League, travel ball, and they were very knowledgeable of every aspect of it. One of them brought up about when was vacation going to be. They're talking about umpires and all kinds of things that never even crossed my mind. And the LEA and the front offices do not have time to coordinate all these things. And it just became evident to me how bad we really need somebody in charge here. But anyway, who wants to go next?
Hey, Chris Davis. I'm not in the city limits, but I'm over there on Price Grange Road. I've had the pleasure of being on a part of the Parks and Rec Board. Have enjoyed getting to know these men and discussing the next steps for Stoneville, the possibility, and moving Stoneville in a direction that will be positive for the whole community. And we're talking about funding the consultant that should be brought in. And the reason the consultant starts is because if you don't get the report from the consultant, you can't apply for the grants. They made it very clear, and then if you do some more homework on it, talking with Reverend Moore and that kind of thing, he's done a great deal of grant writing. There just has to be a very complete package of populations, territories, facilities, things like that, that will not only help point Stoneville in the right direction, but it will also help control costs as far as what the budget would be for something like this. Generally, you're talking about $300 to $400 per child per year in the Parks and Rec program. But anyway, so that's why it's needed. You have to start here. If you don't start here, we'll all be talking again in 3 years. And you're going to be seeing, in 3 to 4 years, you're going to be seeing 150 to 250 more kids in Stoneville. Because what I do for a living is I do landscaping, but I only do it at the commercial level. I only work for production builders. I work for the people like D.O. Horton. They're not a current customer. They used to be before 2008. But what's coming is they're running out of land in Guilford County. And so, I work for builders, a builder that we just wanted a contract with, Stanley Martin. Stanley Martin just moved into the area, and they're huge. They're a Japanese-owned company. They not only buy their land, develop the land, build the houses, but they also finance the homes. So they're a finance company. They buy tracts of land at 1 to 300 acres to 400 acres at a time, because they don't just build 100 to 150 home communities. They build 300 to 700 homes at a time communities. And so they're going to be gobbling up territory in this area, and they're going to be coming north. I already know that my builders are looking in this direction, because if you head towards Orange County, there's no water. All the water's in Rockingham County. So this area is going to continue to see a tremendous amount of growth. Carroll Woods with Roy Carroll, he's considered Greensboro's first billionaire. He's only 15 minutes away from here in Carroll Woods. He's building a multi-million-dollar complex up there, 3,000 acres. This is going to be, one of the great playgrounds of the area. So they're already jumping past Stoneville, and D.O. Horton and places like that are starting to come into it. It's where it's going. And so what we're encouraging Stoneville to do is, please don't plan this for where we're at, because where we're at is not going to be where we're at in 3 to 5 years. It's going to change quickly. When they buy land, and Charles can tell you this, when they get after some land, this isn't a 3 to 5 year project. They'll have curbs and road down in 6 months. And they'll start building. D.O. Horton builds 3 to 5 homes at a time, and that's their model, and it keeps their price down. They can sell. So you've got to project where Stoneville's going. You're going to be looking at, with just what Charles is doing, you're going to be seeing 250 to 300 kids coming this way pretty quickly. And what we have a chance to do is you get a chance to take care of the kids, but the thing you also get to do is you get to build community. And that's what it's all about, because they're not coming here because this looks like Greensboro. It looks like Winston-Salem. It looks like High Point. They're coming here because they're trying to get out of those situations, and they want to come into the small community areas. But you got to have a situation where these kids are going to interact, where these kids are going to get to know each other when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. So then when they start to go to the schools and they join the athletic teams, they've been playing with each other for years before they even step foot at McMichael or at, let's just stay at McMichael since that's our high school, right? And Charles, his product that he's selling, that D.O. Horton is producing, is around a $300,000 project, okay? Those homes are about $300,000. I'm in a community in Greensboro right now for a multi-home builder, and a townhome. And an 18-foot wide townhome, 2 stories, it's like a single wide, cut in half and stacked, $325,000. So people can come out here and get these homes, or they can get a townhome, and that's no garage. That's what's in Greensboro. So they're going to be coming here. We did the Taylor House is what we call it. We finished up that project. I bought all that land from Bill Knight. We turned it into 6 lots. One of the lots is the Taylor lot. True North Homes has bought 2 of the lots, and you might see them starting to develop the land on Simpson Street. That's Leon Ford. Leon's building a $465,000 home right there. There is confidence in these small towns. I can tell you, we bought the Presbyterian church, and I'm not sitting here, bragging. I didn't buy that Presbyterian church for what Stoneville is right now. I know it's coming, because I know what my builders are telling me. They're coming this way. And so there's a great opportunity to get out ahead of this. When you look at the investment to it, when you look at, and I think I know Jerry pointed this out, when you talk about 30 homes that are at the D.R. Horton level, about 300,000, you're talking about $70,000 more per year in tax revenue, property tax revenue, on the 300. And you got builders wanting to build 450. The first house Leon had, since you had that little fencing issue across the street, he backed down from the 525 he was going to build. And he said, I'm going to stay in the 425, 450 range on this home. But we'll talk about that in another meeting. So you're talking about growth that'll pay for itself. You're talking about growth that will attract the people into the community, so that as we start to launch this kind of program, because I agree with Bob, I sat in that park down there when the fireworks were going off. Me and my boys used to we'd lay in the grass and watch the ashes fall down on top of us. That's how close you could be at the fireworks. Anyway, it's going to attract, and then also realize there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure that's already been talked about here. You've got the ball fields. You've got Reverend Moore is more than willing to. It's a nonprofit to get a start there. We know that the principal at Stoneville Elementary she's already. She's already getting the county to allow that gymnasium to be used. And, I don't know how you guys feel about stuff like this, but M&M wants to partner. And we can have a great inter-community competition between the two, which would foster tremendous things for years to come. Okay, and, all right. And then, here's the thing. The last thing I'll say. Stoneville, it has a chance to grow, and it can grow tremendously. I'm not interested in Stoneville growing, okay? What I'm interested in is I'm interested in a community that I moved into and watching it maintain that quality of community, but attract the people. They're going to come anyway, okay? But here's what's going to happen. I think Stoneville's about 600 people. Is that the population of Stoneville?
1,400.
1,400. Okay, and you're talking about just in the next 3 to 5, just with D.R. Horton, you're going to get 10% more. But what will happen is when those people come in, and I just say this purely from is that if the families aren't being taken care of, then the people are going to come out of the houses and start running for the offices, because they're going to want the leadership that's going to be helping them have the community they want for family, children, and the whole bit. I do not want to see leadership in Stoneville swapped out. I want to see the people of Stoneville stay in the seats of council and lead Stoneville to where it needs to be. Because whether it's good or bad, it's coming. It's already started. We have the grant to go underneath 220, right? And to start to develop that way. So it's coming. It's going to be here. But we have a chance to manage it and start it now. And to start that is the most reasonable and smart way to do that, start with a consultant. And this lady seems to be pretty good and pretty economical. She's asking $30,000. Madison's, what was 7 or 9 years ago, their consultant was 40. So I thought the price was pretty reasonable as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
No.
Mayor and council, thank you for the time on the agenda. Most of what I want to share will be in a short video. The full name of the firm is Berry, Dunn, McNeil and Parker LLC. The lady that we had been working with is Lisa Wolf. She's a resident of Burlington. She was involved with the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department for 31 years. She is a North Carolina Senate appointed board member of the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. The trust fund awards grants to communities that apply, and she is going to help us. If we hire her, she will help us, put us in a position to create a favorable grant, among other things. But if you wouldn't mind, Delia, just this is from the Berry Dunn website.
I'm Lisa Curtis. I'm the manager and business development and strategy lead for
Sorry, our internet is not great here. It'll catch up.
Like my TV at home.
Have you had trouble with your internet or anything? Oh, sorry. Yes.
As long as you queued that up, the National Recreation and Parks Association does an annual survey, and the results of the 2024 survey was 276 million people in this country visited a local park or recreation facility at least once during the past year. Being with family and friends is the top reason respondents use parks and recreation facilities. 97% of visitors report some feelings of inclusion or belonging at their park and recreation spaces. 91% of people agree that parks and recreation is an important service provided by their local government. 93% of U.S. adults support the use of automated technology by their local park and recreation agency, and a good example of that is my daughter has a daughter by the name of Mary Beth, my granddaughter. She's a gymnast with the core gymnastics team out of Greensboro, and she will be competing in a large national tournament this Sunday in Savannah, Georgia. But all of that was facilitated by my daughter's cell phone. The registration, the payment, the hotel bookings, and everything. One thing that adults with children are going to want to need
recreation
is
or libraries practice or whatever. We love clients who want to really break the mold on innovation and try to step out of that traditional master planning or strategic planning work. We are on a mission to recreate the world of parks, recreation, and libraries consulting.
I'm Jason Gank, and I'm the practice lead for Parks, Recreation, and Libraries at Berry. I believe right now is a unique time in our field to really help shape the future and looking at the ways we provide services. It's interesting to me how much our field has really learned in the past few years with all the changes that are happening in our world. We've been so responsive, yet I think the demands are only really going to increase, particularly in areas of mental health, wellness, connecting communities, and certainly how we're looking at equity as we bring services to all members of our communities and our organizations.
We have all all walked in your shoes. We are former practitioners, typically at a very high level of leadership within communities across the nation who have had the experiences that you have had. We understand how important it is to plan correctly and to engage everybody within your organization.
It is really exciting when we're going through our work and working so closely with communities to identify barriers to services, and then the ability for us to create action to knock down those barriers to provide services that are accessible to all. One of the coolest things I've seen innovation from one of our projects happens to be in Pflugerville, Texas. They wanted to make sure that they reached out to every nook and cranny of their community and all their neighborhoods. They created a mobile chalkboard to capture ideas, mounted that to a trailer, and put over 140 miles on that trailer to get out to every single neighborhood in Pflugerville, just to give everyone the opportunity to provide their voice, but also to make them aware that Pflugerville is very thoughtful about their future and wants to include everyone. We're providing, along with them, what likely is going to be their last master plan, focusing specifically on growth. 10 years from now, or less, Gilbert will be at build-out. So we need to be very thoughtful about not just focusing on what needs to be done today, but also being mindful of creating a sustainable future.
So it's all well and good to have a 200-page plan in front of you, but what really matters and what we know really matters is the ability to implement and operationalize that plan. And as people who have, as we say, walked in your shoes before, we know what it takes to make that happen. So why Barry Dunn? Because we're different than other consulting companies that you might come in contact with. We are a team of thought leaders who have decades of experience in the profession, but we also understand that it is an ongoing relationship with a client that we learn from you as much as you would learn from us.
And just a reminder, Charles' parents, Mr. and Ms. Galvin Rakestraw, in conjunction with Steve Smith, donated the 15 acres that our park rests on right now, just as a reminder. Mr. Brown, if you don't mind, he and his wife have refinished the gym floor, put up new basketball goals, among other things, as Mr. Bennett said. And in conclusion, I think that the time is perfect right now to invest in our citizens. Revenues are up somewhat. I think it's time to make an investment, and I encourage you to vote yes on hiring the consultant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Mr. Brown? I believe you're the last one standing.
I'm the oldest person in the room.
Well, we just saved the best for last.
So I'll be the corniest person. But a few things occurred to me. I agree with everything that was said here, and this, don't disagree with anything that was said at all. Said it better than I could say it. I would just say one thing. I'd say, like, why not do this? I can't come up with any reason not to do it. I can't. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's like 100 to 1 to me. I don't see it. I mean, there's so many benefits outweigh the doing nothing that not doing anything is, like, to me, is just not even an option. We got to do something. If you're going to do something, you got to have a good plan. You got to have a business plan. It's got to be 3 to 5 years at least in the making. The corny part I want to say is, you know, I've lived in Stoneville all my life, and we started a business here 45 years ago, I think now. We've been in business 45 years. And the main reason for that is because of what I learned in Little League in Stoneville. So I try to run Southern Finishing like what I learned on Little League, which takes a team cooperating. It's got to have a coach, got to have a leader, and it's got to be teamwork, because one person can't do anything. It's got to be a group, and they got to have a good plan, and then they got to execute it. And you know, there's all kind of cliches and whatnot, but you gotta have a vision of what you wanna do in the future. You gotta see it clearly, you gotta lay it out, make some to-dos, and then you draw a line and you say, okay, let's scorecard this thing and see how we're doing. Are we winning or losing? You know, it's in the 5th inning. You look at it and say, are we winning or losing? We need to regroup and change something. So then you repeat that, and you keep repeating that until you realize your vision. And I learned all that in Little League, I just didn't realize it. And then when I got old, in business, started in business, I didn't realize it either for about 30 years. And after 30 years, I realized, well, this is all the stuff that works in baseball. Have a team. And so I'm not taking credit for Southern Finishing being in business for 45 years. I think it's just because of what I learned. and you know, it's right down here on dirt. We didn't have any grass in the infield. And volunteers, I didn't have to pay 1 penny to be on that team. There was no charge. It's free. This ought to be free. For the kids ought to be able to just know. You encourage them to play, you don't charge them to play. So you teach them some good things, and they take it on the rest of their life. You don't make it harder for them by not having it available. And they have to go somewhere like my kids play ball, you know, I played ball here, my kids play ball here, my grandson comes along, he can't play ball here. He had to go out of the county to play ball. That's heartbreaking to me. So, I can't think of any reason not to do this whatsoever, so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That everybody? I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this recommendation from the advisory committee. And Mayor, is that okay?
You can make a motion, but what we'll do
I
is
just-
do a second,
yeah.
and then we'll do further discussion.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
I
think
just
we
wanted
have
to,
several-
I just wanted to make a statement to each of you that are doing this. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to do this. Somebody had to step up, and you guys, it's really appreciated.
Do we have any other further discussion?
Yeah, Daisy, and it was very impressive
Yes.
in that Zoom meeting that we had with this lady, and I think we're doing the right thing. I really do, but I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this recommendation from the advisory board and move forward with this.
So we have,
And there's one more thing. Mr. Sands, did you say this or not? That part of this will be paid in the fiscal year '26, and part of it will go in the '27. I know it's in our agenda packet, but, you know, so the public will know that we'll have some of that money that will come out of our balance on our recreation program this year, which is around $32,000.
Correct, yeah. The expense of this would not be all at one time. It would be based on as services are provided.
Yeah, because at first we thought we were having to pay it all up front, but she agreed to work with us. Anyway, that's my motion.
how long does it last? How long is her concern?
It could be 9 months.
Well, is that the max for her time, or?
No, whatever it takes to get the job done, is the way I understand it.
May I add one? She said, I think 6 current, 6 to 9, but I think 6.
Okay, I hope so. And what that would do, it put us in a real good position to take the next step and possibly hire a director at that time. Once we get this plan together, then we'll have boots on the ground then, and it won't just be recommendations.
So I have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Can I,
Yeah, we'll do more. So we'll have a second on the floor from Council Thornton. Any further discussion?
yeah,
Go ahead.
so you guys know, this is dear to me. So I just want to go on the record for just a second. It's so important to me that I'll get upset about it. So one of the reasons I ran for office was because of this topic. Like you said, people run for office because they want to change it, right? I want to change it. My concern is, as a taxpayer with 4 children, I pay a lot of money into these taxes. I see nothing from it. And that is what people say. They say, I'm paying taxes to this fund. What are you doing with it? What's the town doing with it? So I'd asked Mary Ann for the numbers, and she sent them to me, and she can double check me. But the variance that we ran on Parks and Rec from 2021 until now was $75,806. So to me, as a taxpayer, that $75,806 we sat on. And not saying you all, because you weren't necessarily here, but I'm just saying as a town, we didn't use it. I've worked with consultants, and I understand their role. I also understand that a lot of times they're only as good as what we feed them. So in the packet, when it says, what's your vision, I made some notes. And I was kind of waiting to hear, like, what is the vision we're going to give them? Because let's be realistic, we do have tax dollars that are coming from these homes, and they are going to have young families in them, and I totally get it. But can we go out and build indoor facilities? Do we have the property to do it? What will the cost associated be with that? Are we going to reach that tax revenue anytime in the near future to make that happen? I want to make sure that this is achievable. And unlike the pocket park, which I've heard talked about a few times, there are dollars available, but it's not complete, and that's been years in the making. So I don't want it to turn into a project where it's like, oh, we threw 30-some thousand more dollars at it, but we didn't hit a finish line. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my concern is we're making this decision to spend 30-some thousand dollars prior to budget, and we don't know what next year looks like. We haven't run the budget yet. We don't know what our heads are going to come in here and ask for, say they need more staff support, etc. But we know we'd have to pull some out of next year's budget. I took my daughter to a park yesterday. It was not Stoneville's park. I think there's improvements that could be made there. Could this money go to that and it quickly do something that the people who live here now are benefiting from? I know we talked a lot about recreation programs. I sent a proposal to Kurt to share with you all. I don't know if you saw it. Hopefully you did. To the town manager and to the mayor that said, hey, can we go over to the rec? Can we ask them per player for Stoneville residents that are coming over there, if the cost difference for Madison in town was $15, can we take from our budget and supplement that $15 per head? Mr. Russell would have to be involved, but say they bill it back to us after each season and say, our citizens are still getting to participate in those programs that they're already in. My children are in them. Can we give that benefit back? Can we do something now so that it's not just communicating, hey, we're going to throw more money at this and hope that 9 months from now we have a plan, and then 9 months from now we can get somewhere else. So I would just ask that we take that into consideration.
May I speak, ma'am?
Yes.
I feel your frustration. I've felt it for 4 years. The only reason I ran for office was to try to complete this, because the first meeting I came to, the torch was passed to me to head up recreation. I hadn't been able to get anything done. I'm embarrassed about it. I'm ashamed of it. And I'm sorry it didn't happen, but this is the only step I know to take in the right direction to make anything happen, because what I'm seeing is if we don't do this, we're going to be right back in the same shape again next January, February. And I hate it, Jessica, I really do. But I see a lot of exciting things coming our way, if we do this. And yeah, we had monies that were sitting there for salaries that were not spent the last couple of years. And we had money, Byron's been taking care of the property down there pretty much for us. And I've got compliments about the baseball field being in good shape and everything. That our forefathers, Mr. Brown might agree with me, they would be terribly disappointed in this town as to what we've done with the property down there. It was better Ms. Davis was talking about doing the fireworks show, I always was working, you know, and I usually get there at dark when they shot the first one off, but it was a big event. It became the only one in western Rockingham County for a long time. We want to get it back going again, hopefully.
Agreed.
But we got to have some help. Leah can't do it, and Mr. Sands can't do it. We can't do it as a council. We're not trained to do it and able to. But we can help if we as a community get behind this proposal that is coming. We can make it grander and bigger than even she's proposing for us.
Well, I'd like to add another comment. You know, we can do two things at one time.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
We can do this, and we can, in the budget, when we do the budget, you explain more about what you were talking about us doing. And if it's feasible, we put that in the budget and do it. We can do both.
Yeah, that would just be my question. If we go this way, what can we offer now alongside of it? I feel like we need to balance it a little.
Well, we should talk about that at the budget and try to get it in if it's feasible.
We did discuss that in the last few moments of our last meeting. Reverend Moore and Mr. Brown, you know, kind of closed it up by saying we can do both. You know, it's my concern, and it's everybody's concern on that board, that what are we going to do in between now? We can't just shut it down, not do anything. So we've got to put the plow in the ground, make some stuff happen between now and September, October. Right now, when Bob and I were at that meeting, we missed the window of opportunity to put our kids on a baseball program. They asked us, Bob, or you asked the question, when do we need to let you know when our kids are signed up? And they said the 15th of January. And that was like 8 or 10 days away. And so we were out of that window frame of being able to do that. So we missed baseball season. So, but we do have 3 teams down there right now. We've got 2 more that want to go down there and use the facilities. And so all that's on Leah's back right now, along with the rest of us, you know, trying to schedule these things. But it's a lot. It really is. But yeah, David, I mean, we're going to try to do both of them together. We're going to work with everybody, and one of those comments I made was, we're going to try to work with every entity that we could possibly work with in our community about this. And Sharon Baptist Church and Stoneville Elementary School is the top 2 priorities that we got in focus.
But the school comes with the fee still, correct? Per Rockingham County Schools fee list? It's not free to us, correct? Just to clarify?
Well, hopefully we can make that happen. But I can't say anything here in public on record. But, and I can't answer for Casey, but I mean, she's very welcome and open to anything that we want to do, is my understanding.
And I will speak from the perspective of a former school employee. We would have to abide by the school system's policy unless we had that negotiation power. And so that may be the option, is that, you know, someone from the town negotiate with the school system for the without a fee. But at the current issue, would have to follow their policy.
Yeah, so I just want to be realistic that if we take this out of the budget, we're looking at $15,000 left in the budget for next year. So we could supplement a program through the rec, because in all fairness, their soccer program right now is not filled. If you're part of this group, you get the emails, you get the notifications that they are trying to fill out teams and may have to cancel off high school. Do we think we can realistically pull enough kids to create our own program if they're struggling to fill the one that they have that's an ongoing long-term running program? You know, today, I don't know that we could, so I would be more in favor of us supplementing to make it where these people from Stoneville can afford to go play there, because we do pay more to play there. So there may be an opportunity, but I'm just being realistic that we are going to eat the budget we have. And
I agree with you. I had that discussion with someone on that committee, not in open, but like, what if we did this, and I guess it was your idea, I can't remember where I heard it from, but like subsidize these children going to that program, like we sending baseball players down there from our town, and it costs $80 for an out-of-town person, but it only costs $20 if you live in Medan or Madison. Then we subsidize it by $60.
Well, it's, yeah, like soccer's 35 a resident and 50 for a non-resident. So, it's not a huge difference, but it would be something. I just feel like we need to give something back. It's been years, whether it's upgrading the playground, whatever it might be. But I was kind of looking for, did you guys have something to go along with this that could be a quick win? Low-hanging fruit, quick win. We can put it out there, people can see it, it's tangible. And we check something off.
Can Chris speak?
I've been doing, as part of the board, I hear a lot of these circular conversations. And not that anybody's talking wrongly circular, it just continues to be circular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how these type of things go, but I know that as the board, it's a pretty good collection of businessmen. And for us, we're just asking you to do the first step. If you approve this lady or this company, in my opinion, we've only completed about 10% of what we've been asked to do. And then what we have to do, if the board continues doing this, I'd be willing to do it, is then we would start putting all of these pieces together for Stoneville. And because we've already started having open communication with Reverend Moore, we're already having open communication with Madison Maydan, we're already having open communication with Stoneville. And then we would continue doing what we do, which is put it together and get a functioning system that addresses budget, that addresses facilities, that addresses resources, and then we'll put it together and make it cost effective and very efficient. And then we would bring it back to Stoneville and say, this is where it's at. But I would like to be working with a consultant, because I think all the group that we're doing this, because it's just the next step we need to keep moving forward. Like Eddie said, we're not Parks and Rec guys, but we do have to know how to put organizations together and make them function. And so we're just getting a piece of information, a key piece of information that we all agree that we need. And then I think we're all on board to say, okay, we now got the other 90% to do to deliver this to Stoneville as a complete package where it's not circular discussions, which is frustrating, and it's ready to go. And the parents of Stoneville are going to know what's happening where it's at. So.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'm just adding, the thing that I learned in the committee is, and I forgot it, so I'm gonna ask again. Like, what is the total budget for Stoneville currently?
For the entire town?
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head?
$2.5
It's up here.
million.
Yeah, a little over 2.
So the budget for Parks and Recreation is like 2%. It's like maybe not even.
It's nothing.
So it's the allocation of money. The current issue is like, do you put your money in the Parks and Recreations, or do you put it into something else? There's $2.5 million there, for one thing. So one thing we would probably recommend is we put more money into Parks and Recreations out of what we got. And then we're gonna get some consultants to come in and help us to figure out how to write grants to get the money that we need to go 2-3 years out. Because taxpayers do not want to pay for this thing.
Right.
They do not want to pay for Parks and Recreation.
Right.
But they don't have to. We can hire the right people, they can go get money and bring it in here, and taxpayers are not going to suffer. They're going to benefit because they've invested, their tax money has gone into an investment for their kids and their grandkids, and on down the line. But you got to start. If you keep putting off starting, you'll never get there. It never happened. You gotta start. So you gotta do both things at the same time.
And the plan that you had before was not from a consulting firm. It's not something usable. We would be abandoning the park plan that you had before.
The only plan we had when Barbara was here.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
It comes from Bill Luster.
Okay,
Oh, you talking about the little,
the one for downtown.
oh, it was just a sketch drawing. It wasn't architecturally drawn or anything.
Okay.
When Bill Luster, our engineer, did it.
Yeah, is at the time that the previous part-time Parks and Rec was trying to get a grant, and part of the requirement of that grant was that in essence have a plan, and that plan required us to draw what it could look like. So that's why Bill stepped forward. He said this would be nothing that we could officially put on the grant, but it would give you an idea of what proceeded. So that was the rationale behind it, and it could, it will be tweaked, I'm sure.
Well, this, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but this could get in that area even more complicated because the Rotary has shown an interest in wanting to do something with that Rotary stage, but they've kind of got to go through us because that's our property, that town property there, and where it's going to be located and how it's all going to function. So there's a lot of moving parts to this Parks and Rec, and like Mr. Brown's talking about, the overall budget, we got the police department, the fire department, we got the salaries for the administration. What did I forget? Waterworks, fire, excuse me, I'm sorry. And it's just like this is a missing part that we have just discarded. And it's been going on a long time. Mr. Smith was on there, and when Jessica and I were both on that little advisory board at that time under,
Maybe that's why it's so painful. We've been here for a while.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's never been done. It's never been attempted.
Do we have any of the budget allotted right now for Parks and Rec? Because we sure haven't used it that I know of, other than to cut grass in the last 2 or 3 years. If we have some money budgeted already for Parks and Rec, why can't we use that money?
We are.
It is.
And we're going to use probably half of it, which will leave us about 15 to, take us through till June 30 when the new budget comes around. Is that right, Mr. Sand?
That is the current plan, yes. And that's why we mentioned the fact that, in terms of the consulting fee, it would be split across multiple years. So a portion of what's currently budgeted would be allocated towards this, but we do have to maintain some fund in order to be able to maintain any of the general maintenance that has to take place between now and June 30.
Do we have any other further discussion on this? So at this time, we have a motion on the floor from Councilman Bennett. We have a second on the floor from Councilman Thornton. All in favor?
You
have further discussion?
Yes. Did we reach out to any other consultants, or is this the only consultant that was local?
I knew that was coming.
Because normally when it's over $3,000, we get 3 bids, or I didn't know if maybe, with this being Parks and Recs, was this the only local consultant, or was there other, or did y'all reach out?
Mrs. Smith, will you answer that?
The $3,000 bid does not come into play on consulting services, correct, Mr. Sands?
That is correct.
It's not necessary to solicit bids or an RFP, request for a proposal in consulting services. That's the reason we did not. Good question, thank you.
And I will also say that the initial person that he reached out to was from a different consulting firm, and because that person had retired, this individual was highly recommended by a previous, and I think that was the one that did Madison's.
Correct, Dale Smith.
So Dale Smith, who now is retired, made the recommendation. So we did look at what other towns had did in terms of which one we wanted to, have that conversation with initially. And then when we found out she was retired, this recommendation came forward.
Good question.
And something I heard, I can't remember, one of them was talking about the grants. You have to have like a consultant, to apply for these grants. Is that what I heard?
So you do not have to have a consultant, but what any grant, regardless of what it's for, the grant, the people that are funding grants are going to look, do you have a complete ready, shovel ready, boots on the ground, pretty much you're ready to go, all you're waiting on is the money. Because if they look at a grant application that has just a very generic, general idea of we might want to do this, they're going to turn that application and move forward to one that's better, more prepared to be ready to go. And so the consultant's services would allow for that, in that we would have a more defined purpose and direction we were going to head, what we intended and what we expected over a timeline. And because of that, that would just give us additional backing for that grant application.
Any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Next is a consideration to adopt Resolution R-2026-04, amending the date of the public hearing on annexation of parcel 185-849. This is tax pin number 7939-196-03137. Mr.
Yes, Council, this is just an adjustment of the date due to some delays that Mr. Makovich has dealt with in trying to prepare his presentation. So this is just to move it from a March date to the May date.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and consider the proposal to change the date.
So we have a motion on the floor from Mayor Pro Tem Thornton. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Daisy Smith. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a consideration to adopt a proposed pornograph policy. Yeah. Okay.
So, General Statute,
Pornography.
Yeah.
General Statute 1...
Sorry. Thank you.
So General Statute 143-805 was put into place and was to be effective January 1st of 2025, that all public agencies were required to have a policy governing the use of devices owned, leased, or maintained by that agency. As you can see, you all realize I've been here just over a year. This date occurred about the time that the town was in transition, and as a result of that, we feel like it was simply lost in the shuffle. And so what we're doing is simply to make this policy effective immediately so that we are in compliance with what the state expects out of the town.
Madam Mayor, can we combine 4 and 5? That way we don't have to go across that social media policy.
Good vote, if you want to vote on it at one time.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly can do that if council chooses.
Sure, so we will discuss, the next is to adopt the social media policy. So you'll go over that, and then there'll just be one vote for both.
All right, so the social media policy, after dealing with just some posts on our social media accounts where things were being commented on, our policies and procedures, we really had nothing that outlined other than more of a general expectation of those that were managing both the town hall account or the town account and the police department account. So we felt it was wise of the town to create and draft a policy that would allow us to dictate what we did and do not do towards our social media presence. And so both of these policies have been reviewed by Mr. Russell to ensure that we are in compliance with what's typically allowed at other municipalities across the state. And so we have drafted this simply to outline our expectations of staff, what we allow in terms of what's posted, what's not posted, and also it outlines what the town is allowed to do should posts be made and comments made on those. There are certain things that we can and cannot do to prevent public, what's the word I'm looking for, Mr. Russell? The We don't want to restrict anybody's rights to make comments. So our general rule has always been, or at least since I've been here, that we simply turn off comments because that is a means of us communicating. It's not really intended to be a dialogue. And so that's kind of outlined in this policy what our expectations will be moving forward. And that way we're being consistent and we're not applying it based on any individual. We're doing it as a blanket policy. This is our expectation.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt the proposed pornography policy and the proposed social media policy.
I just want to ask, Mr. Russell, I know a lot of elected officials now maintain their own social media, and this says the verbiage is staff. Would elected officials for the town also need to be listed here? Is that no, because they're not staff?
Whatever you do personally.
Right, yeah. I would normally just say it's my personal opinion, but I didn't know if it needed to be in here.
This is official social media.
Town maintains social media presence. The pages that you're referring to that you have created on your own,
Right.
as long as you make it clear, my understanding is as long as you make it clear that it is not official page of the town, you are under a personal policy.
Okay,
or
I just didn't
personal.
know if that needed to be in here, but okay.
So we have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Daisy Smith. Do we have a second?
Second.
From Council Mayor Pro Tem Thornton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a request from Councilman Bennett. Can you shut that door? Do you mind? That door there. Is that what you want? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is a consideration of code enforcement towing contract.
Yes, so based on the code enforcement officer that is working with the town currently, some of the properties that he visits may or may not have nuisance vehicles, abandoned vehicles that are located on these properties. And at present moment, the town did not have a contract with any given towing company. And so he made a recommendation, which we've reviewed, to have a contract that we get with local towing companies. And then they would, our code enforcement officer would reach out to them on a case-by-case basis, and then as written in the contract, basically the contract would then take the town out of it. The towing company would be responsible for collection of the fees and then disposition of that property should the owner of that property choose not to pick it up. And so this was simply, and at this point, this is just to look at the contract. Once the contract is approved, we will put out a bid, informal, but we will post it in a couple of places to allow towing contractors to be able to, say, yes, I want to be a part of that process, and then we can bring those names back to you. I currently have 4 that I would reach out to if I was going to reach out to them, but we felt like just publishing it publicly would give that opportunity out.
And would they be put in rotation?
Yes, they would be put in a rotation-based availability. Each one would basically have to be agreeable that they have a place to store the property at their facility and then manage the fee charges, et cetera.
Does Mayday and Madison have current policy?
I have not asked that question of either manager, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that sometimes, one of the other times, not this county that I work with,
Right.
they went through a process of trying to do enforcement, and so in lining up the resources they need, they lined up a towing contract.
Yeah, I'm not against this, but I think whatever Madison Mayday had, if they had one, that Stoneville should sort of follow suit. That way we would be with the same policies they would have.
And I feel like, without speaking for Ms. Schuler at Med-An, she currently is working with the same code enforcement officer, so I'm sure he's made that recommendation to her and shared the same sample contract.
Are there similar fees involved? Like if it costs $100 to go on somebody's property and get their vehicle and move it?
So this right here this would be at no cost to the town. We basically this would create the agreement between us and the towing company that once we turned it over to them, they would be responsible for the collection of fees. So this would give Eric the right to contact, as you said, in a rotating basis. Contractor one, he's available, so we'll send him out to get. Now, at this point, we've not seen, I don't know that we've got any so far that really has nuisance vehicles or abandoned vehicles, but we just wanted this in place just in case that occurs in the future.
So what right do we have as a town to
Well, it's-
authorize any towing company to remove personal property from their property?
It's because it is in the ordinance about the manner in which junk and/or abandoned vehicles are kept on property. So all we would do would be looking at our current ordinance regarding the junk vehicles and then making that application, because it does say that the town has the right to address those.
But the liability lays on us or the towing company if they say, well, they stole my car?
Well, the process is in place where, they give notice, same sort of thing about where you could, under that, the town has authority to tear down a structure that is inadequate, but you gotta go through the procedure, notice, hearing, those sorts of things. So that would take place, so there would potentially be some liability on the town if our code enforcement officer was negligent in how he carried out that process.
But our police department doesn't have to get involved in this in any way, do they?
No, that's code
No.
enforcement.
It's code enforcement. And as he said, there's multiple steps to have to go through before, so the owner of the property or of the vehicle would be notified well in advance, and if they address it, then it's no longer a nuisance, we wouldn't have to go through this. This would be the final step to which the town has taken action, just like we've done with the buildings. When these buildings, when the owners would not address the issue that we've noted, then we take the next step. And so, I hope it wouldn't take as long as it has with some of our buildings, but, with vehicles, but at the same time, it is possible if they don't, as he said, if our officer does not follow, and I'm not saying police officer, but our code enforcement officer doesn't follow procedures, then yes, that puts a liability on us. That's why it's important that we have the right code enforcement officer.
I have another question. Say if the tow truck, they tow a vehicle and they damage a water line or sewer line, who will be responsible? Or, so if they, code enforcement, they have to remove the car and they damage a utility, will the tow company be responsible or for damages?
The contract calls for them to have.
I think it calls them to have,
certificate of
yes.
insurance. So anything that they did through their negligence, if they're towing a vehicle and damage anything, damage public fire hydrant or damage a car parked beside the road, we would make sure they had insurance.
Okay.
And the amount it has in it is $500,000, so basically it wouldn't be like a scene from a movie where they hit every car in town.
On this nuisance report that was handed to us today, 90% of what's on here are dealing with junk vehicles. So it just gives code enforcement a little more teeth in what they're going to do.
Well, it gives them an avenue to conduct the business that would be necessary once
Well,
we're to that state, yes.
yeah.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the code enforcement towing contract.
We have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jessica Smith. A second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Shelton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a consideration to adopt ordinance.
Madam Mayor,
What?
I just want to I do want to make it clear, this contract has nothing to do with anything that law enforcement, should there be an accident or whatever, and they contact, this is solely for the purpose of code enforcement.
Because usually highway patrolmen or whatever have their own rotation that they use, correct?
Correct.
Thank you,
I know
Mr.
the
Simmons.
subject's already closed, but what if there's an altercation that breaks out? Is the police department involved in?
There's a breach of the peace.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. The towing companies advise not to go get somebody with a ball bat and start towing their car. They don't usually do this. Usually something that's abandoned, and they would have to take an extra step if they had somebody, who tried to prevent these. They're not gonna just try to use force and arms to tell it. It's generally something that's abandoned, nobody's stopping. Similar situation, with the finance company repossessing an automobile. They have the right to do it, but not to breach the peace.
And most, the ones that I've seen, you don't know your car's gone till you go outside. I'm serious.
What did you say?
I said, you don't know your car's gone till you go outside.
Okay, we're gonna go on to, next number 7, consideration to adopt ordinance 0-2026-02, declaring a temporary road closure for the annual cruising. And I guess we can go ahead and add 8 with that because it's gonna be the same.
Yes.
But it's gonna be for ordinance, the same, but 03, and it's declaring a temporary road closure for the annual May Day Festival.
And Mr. Sands, I just want to make sure, did you all, and you probably did, but you all realize that the cruise-ins fall this Friday night before the only 2 town Saturday events? I just want to make sure that y'all wanted it that way. Okay. Just
Well,
checking.
and I will tell you, the reason that that particular date was selected for the cruise-ins was because other towns have the other Friday nights. And so,
I was thinking more along the month. I wasn't sure if you wanted to do the, like, months further out.
well, the months were determined based on temperature of, and the people being
Okay.
on the street. If you get much later in the summer, it's so hot,
Yeah, not
people
having
won't
fall.
attend.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for the month selections.
Okay, just checking.
So do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the road closures for annual cruise-in and the annual May Day Festival as stated.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Smith, second. Second, Council Pro Tem Thornton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the Town Administrator report.
So, and one is in one of the announcements, we did have our grand opening ribbon cutting for Acclaim, so I thank everyone that was able to come. It was well attended. I think Mavis Dillon actually made the comment that that was one of the largest ones that she'd ever been a part of. So we're glad to have Acclaim. I'm excited about what they're going to do for us moving forward. I do want to update, one of the comments I think earlier was about the repair of the lines at the bathrooms at the park. Byron and his crew are aware of the leak that was occurring underneath the road. So now that hopefully snow is gone and weather will cooperate, we are planning to address those in the next week or so, and hopefully by mid-month, the bathrooms will be ready to go so that people, as they're going down to the park, can enjoy those. Free Cleanup Week, we just got information on when that is going to occur, so for the benefit of citizens, this will be posted on the April water bills, as well as Facebook and at Town Hall. That will occur from April 27th to May 1st, so more information will be provided to the citizens via those means. And so that's just the expectation. We'll send out expectations. A couple of reminders, senior breakfast coming up April 11th, so we're already providing tickets for our citizens there through Town Hall. Again, we've mentioned May Day on the 16th, and then we are looking at another event there at the park, Music in the Park. So we are in the midst of doing several plannings, and we hope these will be a success for the town as well.
That it? And then we've got the budget retreat coming up, and Right Choice Auto Sales, that's down where Sparky's used to be, sort of behind Claybrooks. They're going to have their ribbon cutting with the chamber on March the 19th at 4 o'clock. And then our next council meeting is on Tuesday, April the 7th. Other than that, I think that finishes up. I just want to say,
I got a question
Sir?
for Michael.
Sure.
Best I remember, we hired a consultant to do grants for the fire department. Have we spent any money? Has anything happened with that? Have we spent money at grants or?
So There has been some work. They did assist with the process of getting their website up and running. I know that they created some outreach flyers. To the extent they have been sent out, I can't answer that question. I'm looking at Barry, and Barry may not know the answer to that either.
As far as I know, for them writing any grants for us, they have not.
But we can follow up with Joel and get the full information on that.
Anything else? Okay, that'll close us and finish us for tonight. Just remember, be kind. You never know what anybody's going through in this world. And remember our military in your prayers. There's a lot of people affected with that. I have a son that's in the military. So at this time, do we have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Thornton, a second from Bennett. All in favor? We're now adjourned.